Welcome to Exact Training. This lesson is on using the Accounting tab in the Bill of Materials Part Master. In this lesson, we will learn the fields required for the Accounting tab of the Part Master for entering a new part. Let's get started. These are the steps we'll follow. From the System Manager, we will open the Bill of Materials module. We'll choose the Activity menu and open the Part Master. From the System Manager, choose the Engineering tab and then select the Bill of Materials module. When the Bill of Materials opens, select the Activity menu and choose the Part Master item. The Part Master window will open. Now select the Accounting tab. The Accounting tab is used to change or review costing information for a part. You can also enter new parts here. Max uses this information to calculate costs for a part before using the Recalculate Cost Rollup program. An accounting person can enter new parts along with cost information by using the Accounting tab. To properly use this screen, first set up system-wide costing information using the Costing module. Begin by entering a part ID if this is a new part. It provides the primary part information for the Bill of Materials product tree. If you are adding an entirely new Bill of Materials, you will need to add all of the parts first. Part ID is a name or number that Max uses to identify a part or resource. You can define the format for the part ID. A part ID may contain any combination of up to 30 alphanumeric characters. We will begin by entering an ID for the part. If you know the part ID you'd like to use, you can enter it manually here. You may view a list of those part IDs that have already been entered into the system by double-clicking to bring up the Part ID browser. And the browser window will open. Click the Search button. All the available parts will now appear. You may use the scroll bars on the far right to move through the list. You may export this list to HTML or Excel if you would like to. Click on the Export button to do so. When you find a part you'd like to use, double-click on its row. That part ID is now entered into the screen. Now let's take a look at the accounting fields for the part. For cost unit of measure, this describes the unit of measure for quantities of purchased goods or parts. It can be different from the Bill of Materials units of measures. If, for example, the Bill of Materials calls for square inches of sheet steel, but the cost is calculated either per sheet or by pound of steel. As in all of the units of measure within Max, the cost unit of measure is a 2-character user-defined entry. The cost unit of measure value is the same as the purchasing unit of measure that is displayed on the Part Master Planner tab. If the cost unit of measure and the Bill of Materials unit of measure are different, you will need to enter the number of Bill of Materials units that make up the cost unit in the cost conversion field. For example, if the cost unit of measure is dozen and the Bill of Materials unit of measure is each, then the cost conversion should be entered as 12. Note that if the cost unit of measure is changed for a part that has an open purchase order, you must calculate the cost per unit for each open order. Let's talk about the field for cost type. The cost type code field is used to identify how the cost will be calculated for this part. Valid codes are M for manually calculated or A for automatically calculated. Purchase parts are normally given a cost type code of M and a material cost is manually entered. Manufactured parts are normally calculated automatically, A, and the labor hours per unit is entered below. Max will roll up the cost elements level by level automatically. Rolling up means totaling the costs of a part at a particular level and then adding their total to the next level up the product structure until you reach the end product level. If a part type code is changed to S for pseudo, the cost type code will default to A, which is automatically calculated. Phantom parts, which is P, cannot be costed. So now you would select either automatic or manual cost type. The cost date field tells you the last time a standard cost was calculated for this part. Max updates this date on one of two occurrences. First, when you change the information on this screen for a part with cost type code of M and confirm the changes, the screen will reflect today's date. Or second, when you perform a recalculate cost rollup and change the cost information for the parts with the cost type code of A. This labor hours field tells Max how many hours of labor it takes to make this part. This is a mandatory entry for automatically calculated costs, unless you are using the part's routing code to calculate labor, as assigned in the cost configuration data. This is an optional entry for manually costed parts. Let's talk about the burden percentages. For labor burden percentage, this is the labor overhead percentage rate as it applies to the labor cost. This covers indirect labor costs that can't be allocated directly to the part. The information defaults to what is entered in the labor burden percentage in the cost configuration data. It can then be calculated using the part routing if the part routing code switch was set to yes in cost configuration data and a cost rollup is done. This rate may be manually overridden here. The maximum entry is 999. For the material burden percentage, this percentage is only added to manually costed parts, thereby providing a fixed overhead burden to your costs. This is an optional entry for manually costed parts and is not used for automatically costed parts. The entry made in Maintain Cost Configuration Data defaults to here, but can be changed on a part-by-part basis. The accounting type code is user-defined and can be used to group like parts together for accounting purposes. For example, a GL account number can be assigned to a stockroom account type code combination. Then for every transaction for the part, that GL count will be used. Account type codes should be created before adding parts. See the lesson on adding account type codes for more information. Double-click to see the existing codes. If there is already a code entered into the top part of this window, click the Clear button, the eraser, to remove it. Once you have cleared that item, the full list will appear of codes that are already entered. When you find the one you'd like to use, double-click on it. Whenever you make changes to this window, the Update button will appear as active. If you only view but don't make changes, it will appear to be grayed out. When finished making addition or changes, update and then select the Close button. The fields in this column are the breakdown for the cost of the part. The cost per unit field is the total cost for the part. For manually costed parts, you will enter the material value and the remaining fields are calculated for you. For automatically costed parts, the cost fields are calculated when the cost rollup is done. For more detailed information on how these fields are calculated, please refer to the Bill of Materials User Guide. Now exit from the Part Master and you will return to the System Manager. In this lesson, you have learned what is included on the Accounting tab of the Part Master and how to add a new part. Thanks for participating in Exact Training.